Just what is it that makes a person seem old? It's a whole lot more than just appearance or even the way somebody moves or somebody's health, but there's something else that's really important, and it's something that any of us can do something about. I'm Betty, and I'm convinced that getting older doesn't mean we're just going downhill until the end, but the last years can be the very best ones of our life. Now, I have been seeing that there are different ways to measure your real age. There's your chronological age, which is your lifespan or how long you've been alive, or there's your biological age, which has to do with your health span or how long your health lasts because of the condition of your body. But I'm starting to see that really there's a third way to consider aging. And that's what I want to talk about today. That has to do more with your mindset. So you could call that your mindset age, or having to do with your resilience and just how you face life. I got to thinking about this the other day after an experience that I had that maybe you can identify with. Now, I live in Guatemala, and for a side hustle, I make wire wrap jewelry, and I sell it in bazaars and shows and sometimes in shops. And what I did the other day was that I went to our best tourist town, Antigua, to look into some shops and see if I could get them to sell my jewelry. Now, I went into this big, huge shop. It's just almost like a supermarket for handmade craft goods. I thought, oh, this is the perfect place for my jewelry. So I went in and talked to them about buying my jewelry to sell. But the only way that they wanted to sell it was on consignment. And I had already decided I did not want to put my jewelry out on consignment because that's just too risky, because you don't know what's going to happen with their inventory and if they're going to be honest with it. And putting all your stuff out there without selling it, without having something to show for it. So I didn't really want to do that. But I considered the idea, and after praying about it, I just really felt good about doing it. So I left them a quite large amount of my merchandise on consignment. That's trust, right? But the way I felt after doing that, I felt exhilarated. It was, I don't know, it just made me feel so free to be able to make that decision, even though there was a big risk involved with doing it, but to take that risk and to feel good about it. And I realized something, that sometimes I don't think we take enough risks. Sometimes I think we have this mindset that keeps us stuck in a certain way of doing things where we feel safe. And now I'm not talking about taking risks where you could really put yourself in jeopardy, but just taking these small risks and moving out of what's comfortable and what we can expect. But when I did that, it stretched me a little bit. It took me a step farther than where I really wanted to go. But after taking that step, I felt so good about it. And now another thing that happened that's coming up this weekend, we were just in a bazaar last weekend, and we did okay, but we didn't sell a whole lot of my jewelry. But I have an opportunity for a bazaar with an organization that I really don't know anything much about, and I had to make a decision. Do I pay the money and invest in something to be selling my jewelry for a couple of days when I might not get anything? I might actually lose money. I might not make much money. I might be wasting my time. But I decided I'm going to take the money and I'm going to put it into that and risk that, because it could actually turn out very well. And I started thinking, that's something that really makes the difference between somebody who's really old, acting old, and somebody who is not. There's something fresh about taking a risk, about trying something new. And I know these things don't seem really big and exciting, but for me, it's something that I can do where I'm not just staying in the same situation and feeling safe. I've heard opinions from other people about the way I'm doing this that they don't actually agree. They're kind of against doing the consignment and doing things that you're not sure of, that, oh, you could lose money, this and that. And I don't have to go along with that. I can trust my own judgment. You see, once we get a little bit of gray hair, I think we are in the best season of our life to step out and take a risk and try something different and see if it works. And really, that's the time when a lot of people take less risks. They don't want to fail at something. They just want to be comfortable. They want to do what they know works. But to me, I think that we have this growing edge. It's like when you get to the very edge of what you think that you can do, and then you push yourself beyond that and you think, well, I don't know what's beyond that, and I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to find out. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Is there something that you've thought about doing, but you're not doing it because it's a change? And either you're afraid of the change, or you just don't want to rock the boat, you just want to have things stay the same way they are, or is there something in your life that might make you uncomfortable, stretching out, maybe something social or something that's a responsibility that you're just not quite comfortable with it, and so you don't step into it to find out how maybe it could go. Or maybe there's something else that you have an opportunity for something, but it's kind of a challenge. You've never done anything like that before, and you don't know if you really have the ability that you need to do that. Or maybe it's just the unknown, just stepping out into a new area, something that could open up a lot of new things for you in your life, but you just don't know, you don't understand it, and so you leave it alone. I mean, there's all these areas in our lives that maybe when we were 20 or 30, we would have stepped into without even thinking about it, because when you're young, everything's new and everything's unknown, and so you really don't have anything to fall back on. But when we get to be older like this, sometimes we have so much that we can just depend on, that we settle into it, and we lose that growing edge. We lose that ability to sense the challenge and push ourselves through that and do it. And really, I think that's what makes a person seem old. Just the fact that we don't want to take a risk. We don't want to move out and make our lives different. So I just want you to think about that. And when you do think about those areas that you just might want to step out into, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. One question being, what's the risk of doing that? Is it a reasonable risk? And the second question is, what is the risk of not doing it? That risk might just be the risk of missing out on something that might make your life a lot better. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about that. But that's all for now. And until next time, be strong. And remember, take a chance on something.